Hi everyone, welcome to Unfiltered Thoughts, where we discuss everything events from event manager to event manager. This week, we will be discussing hot topics in the industry. I will share with you what I found from my deep dive into the research, and we'll be evaluating how potentially this issue could evolve and the effect this could have on the future of the industry. On this episode, I will be discussing how us event managers are reducing stress, sharing some insight on the alcohol at business events debate, how we can manage waste better at festivals, accessibility at events, and how we can tackle the ongoing issue of drug-related incidents at our music festivals. As event managers, you can understand how stressful working in the events industry is. In fact, in 2019, the role of event coordinator was ranked number 6 out of the 10 most stressful jobs. Campaign Live found that 83% of event workers believed that occupational stress is a serious issue in the industry. With this in mind, it was really interesting to find out that only 1 in 4 people with a mental disorder or phobia are currently in work, meaning it is essential for event managers to look after their mental health so we can stay in work. Not only does putting effort into mental well-being improve your personal mental health amongst event managers, within organisations, employee well-being provides a more inclusive work environment, a better work-life balance, and employee productivity. Event managers can reduce stress and practice wellness by taking part in mindfulness activities such as meditation. In a study conducted by Shrana and Malcolm, they found that using traditional methods of mindfulness, such as paying attention to your introspective awareness, along with more modern versions of mindfulness, such as the body scan method, can reduce your levels of stress and anxiety significantly. The body scan exercise reduces stress as people are taught to pay attention to what they are feeling in each area of their body. Those with high stress levels may observe that they have got tension in those areas of the body, but the idea of this is to go into it with a non-judgmental frame of mind. Don't try and change your feeling in your body, whether there is tension there. Just accept it, which in turn will reduce physical responses of stress in the future. Regular mindfulness practice leads to cognitive change and equips individuals with the self-management skills that can be applied throughout their lives. Practice will allow individuals to recognise when stress is building up and equips them with the skills of how to reduce this without stress boiling over and potentially causing some more serious mental health issues. Point 3 Wellbeing provided a series of talks at the Association of Event Organisers Forum and found that only 5% of the audience currently make time to practice meditation and mindfulness. 49% of the audience asked to see more opportunities in the workplace to accommodate their personal wellbeing needs. Despite these figures, event organisations are working to provide more opportunities to improve wellbeing and reduce stress in the workplace. For example, as part of the commercial hire team at the Goldsmith Centre, it can be really stressful making sure that everything is ready and up to scratch for my client's event. However, from April, my employer is starting yoga sessions 5 to 6 p.m. every Monday for all employees. It looks as though things will just keep improving. The head of events at BI Worldwide, EMEA, stated that there has been an evolution in top-tier management and companies have begun to appreciate the relationship between the bottom lines and the physical and mental well-being of their employees. Although well-being improvements in the workplace still have a long way to go, it is clear that event organisations are beginning to take mindfulness and the issue of mental health very seriously to protect their employees. The events industry is a very stressful sector to work within, so it is essential that event managers make their own personal wellness efforts such as meditation with the support of their employer. Now it's time for me to take on some of that advice and take part in a short meditation session. I'll see you soon. 30% of disabled people feel as though they are unable to attend sports events due to the lack of accessibility at venues. The Level Playing Field Annual Fan Survey 2021 found that 57% of disabled people would like more accessible parking, followed by the option to have a personal assistant and more information on accessibility be provided. The Edinburgh Festival Fringe is a prime example of an event taking significant steps to improve accessibility. Services at the festival include box office staff that are specifically trained to answer any questions anyone may have on accessibility. There's the option to have a complimentary personal assistant ticket to attend performances with someone who may need the extra assistance. There is also the option to ask for a hearing loop, audio description services, a BCL interpreter, and they also provide sensory backpacks for both adults and children, which includes a fidget toy and some headphones. Although the Edinburgh Festival Fringe have made great effort to improve accessibility, major sports events such as the Commonwealth Games have been criticised for only providing accessibility temporarily, leaving a negative legacy after the Games have ended. McGillivray et al. Claims that an extensive consideration of accessibility needs to be integrated into sports venues and their surrounding spaces to be inclusive for those that have a disability. Not only should accessibility be essential at festivals and sporting events, accessibility needs to be considered at MICE events such as conferences. Accessibility can be improved in MICE events by considering the needs of disabled people in the event design stage. For example, how is the content going to be delivered? If we take a conference, this could be adding additional breaks and allowing people to step out and not miss out. Or this could be, how is the content going to be communicated? If someone needs a BSL interpreter, then how can we make that happen? The organisation of the conference would need to be considered, as well as different catering options and networking opportunities. How are these going to be inclusive of those with a disability? Henderson stresses the importance of access within the event, not just access to the event. It's great having accessibility into the venue, but if once you're there, the whole event is a struggle for you, then what's the point in going? You need to make sure that the person with a disability will have a good, positive experience. Event managers can receive guidance on how to do all of these things through the Live Events Access Charter. The charity Attitude is Everything offers a live events access charter that offers guidance to event organisations and event managers on how they can make their events more accessible. All you have to do is sign up to it. The charter also awards venues and event organisations for their level of accessibility, ranging from bronze to silver to gold to platinum. If a person with a disability sees that an event has won an award for their accessibility, this might encourage a disabled person to attend the event, as they will have a positive experience. The events industry has further progress to be made to improve accessibility. It has been argued that accessibility isn't often high on the list of priorities for an event manager because it doesn't promise a return on investment. This shouldn't matter. Inclusion should mean that the event is a positive experience for everybody, whether they have a disability or do not. Hi, me again. A very recent issue that's been spoken a lot in the media recently is whether alcohol should be served at business events. Recently on LinkedIn, the issue has sparked quite the debate. In a blog post written by Mark Anderson, he argued that CEOs should ban all alcohols at company events. His argument for this is because alcohol is involved in most violence in the workplace, and alcohol consumption goes hand in hand with sexual harassment and assault cases. The arguments of Andresen were included in a LinkedIn post by Julius Solaris, founder of Bold Push, the fastest growing newsletter currently in the events industry, which sparked a huge discussion with 213 reactions, 162 comments and 13 reposts. Solaris made his own very interesting points for and against having alcohol at company events. In support of Andresen, he did say that alcohol can be very dangerous at events for things like liability, and of course, as mentioned by Andresen, there can be cases of sexual assault and harassment. However, Solaris added to the debate by stating that banning alcohol altogether can be quite oppressive. He also added that the serving of alcohol is not creative and is health damaging and might not always be best appropriate to serve at events. In addition to this, attendees that don't drink can feel excluded, and currently more and more people are choosing not to drink. In 2022, 8 million people participated in Dry January, which is a 22% increase from 2021. And now, more and more people are deciding to reduce their alcohol consumption. People are reducing their alcohol consumption mainly to live a healthier lifestyle. So, is serving alcohol at company events really necessary? Event Solutions would argue yes. They argue that serving alcohol at events improves attendance levels and sets the tone for the level of sophistication of the event. Luxurious wine and champagne gives more of the impression of this is a more sophisticated event. A lot of money has gone into it. Whereas house wine and beer bottles gives more of the impression that this is kind of a get-together, more relaxed, laid-back event for employees. Also, alcohol can reduce nerves at an event and encourage people to network with someone that they may have previously been too nervous to approach. It also creates a more relaxed environment for employees to connect and build an already existing relationships. Alcohol doesn't have to be completely scrapped, however. There are ways to limit alcohol intake which will reduce the probability of these negative outcomes occurring due to alcohol. For example, preparing quality mocktails like this one over boring soft drinks will attract guests to try something new instead of going for the alcohol option. They're very delicious. Making alcohol harder to get will reduce consumption. Instead of having servers walk around with drinks on a tray to serve to guests of alcohol, make guests come to the bar. This will reduce the amount of alcohol they consume. There are many things event managers can do to limit alcohol consumption at business events. You could introduce a ticketing system where the number of tickets a guest receives is the number of alcoholic beverages they can have. Or you can provide some interesting entertainment which will keep your guests entertained so they don't turn to drinking. Or an interesting fact is that the louder your surroundings at the event, the more guests will consume. So maybe try and lower the noise levels at your event. To tackle the issue of social anxiety at events, you could introduce icebreaker activities at the beginning of the networking opportunity so people don't feel so nervous to approach someone to speak to them. This topic is a very current debate that seems not to have a right or wrong answer. It's a matter of opinion. That said, with more and more people deciding to reduce their alcohol consumption every year, it will be interesting to see how this debate evolves and the future of serving alcohol at business events. According to The Guardian, over 50% of festival goers take drugs at UK music festivals. Drugs are illegal for a reason. They can cause high blood pressure, anxiety, irrational behaviour, hallucinations and overdoses that can lead to death. As they are illegal, drugs are not allowed into festivals, which means they are often snuck in. At least 14 young people have died after taking drugs at a music festival since 2017. The most common substances taken at live music events is marijuana, followed by cocaine and MDMA. Despite how long festivals have been going on and the fact that these drugs have always been illegal, they are still being snuck into events and people continue to die from them every year. Because of this, event managers are taking a new perspective on the problem. Glastonbury Festival introduced drug testing tents when they opened their gates for the first time since the pandemic. The drug testing was provided by The Loop, an organisation that provide drug checking services as well as advice and support on how drug-related harm can be reduced. These tents examine drugs that have been handed over to see what is in them and what is currently in circulation in the festival. After Parklife Festival in Manchester, 8 brand new pills were found in circulation, in which some of them were double the strength of the average MDMA pill. These pills had never been in circulation before the pandemic. They were brand new and unheard of. The conclusions that can be drawn here is that people are always going to find a way to sneak drugs into festivals, and there will always be brand new pills on the market that haven't been seen before with different ingredients and different strengths. So it is important that all services at the festival are aware of what's going on, what's in circulation and what the impacts of these drugs can be so they can be prepared. Also, as an events manager, it is your duty to protect the people attending your event, which is why introducing the Loop at music festivals is a positive addition, and this is saving people's lives. Alerts can be sent out by the festival's social media to warn festival goers of the most dangerous drugs that are currently in circulation at the event and to warn them off of taking those drugs. Drug testing labs are proving to be effective at reducing drug-related deaths and incidents. In 2016, at the Secret Garden party, deaths related to drugs were an all-time high. However, after the pilot test of the drug testing tent took place at the event, there was only 1 drug-related incident compared to 19 in the year before. That bottle I just threw contributes to the 23,500 tonnes of waste produced by UK music festivals every year. Comparing this to the 1 tonne of waste produced by every household every year, this is a significant amount of waste. Most waste from festivals consists of disposable cups, wristbands, toiletries, tents, clothes, all made of plastics that take centuries to decompose. Food waste is also a key issue at festivals. At Glastonbury Festival, between 50 to 70 tonnes of food waste is generated every year. There are so many reasons why there is so much food waste left over from festivals. Stall holders might have not sold as much as they thought they would, maybe due to unforecasted bad weather or due to competition that they weren't aware that was going to be there at the festival. There's also the issue of fresh produce going off at festivals, and most often stall holders are under a lot of pressure with long queues, and this means that a lot of food gets wasted because it's not being managed properly. So, how can event managers limit and manage the waste produced from festivals in the UK? To reduce plastic waste, events and organisations such as Glastonbury Festival and Live Nation have banned all single-use plastic cups. They encourage their attendees to refill bottles at their events and sell water in aluminium cans that are easier to collect and recycle. Although this sounds like a sustainable solution, due to the extra materials needed to produce reusable plastic cups, it would have to be refilled 8 times before it has any less of an environmental impact than a single-use plastic cup. Replacing single-use plastic cups for reusable plastic cups is not enough. However, there have been initiatives to reduce the amount of tents that are abandoned at festivals. The manufacturing of tents produces 25 kilograms of CO2 annually, which is being released into the atmosphere. When you compare this to the 250,000 tents that are abandoned every year at music festivals, you can imagine on what scale tents are being manufactured at. To tackle this issue, there have been initiatives such as hiring tents where guests collect the tent at the beginning of their stay and hand it back at the end in a good quality condition to receive some money back, maybe a deposit that they've had to put down. This encourages attendees to not abandon their tent at the festival, which is left for a big mass cleanup at the end. This also increases the recycling of tents, as not as many need to be made because they can be used again the following year for guests that want to hire the tents again. To challenge the amount of food waste at festivals, event organisers can conduct sustainability checklist questionnaires when going through the stallholder process. They can also provide training to food stalls on how to correctly dispose of and manage their waste. Event organisations can also work with charities to redistribute the food which would otherwise go to waste to those that would really need it. You could also give stallholders an incentive to want to be better at managing their waste. For example, awarding certificates or giving them discounts for the next time that they come to the festival, or even give cash prizes. Food stallholders could also increase their sustainability by using local suppliers, by avoiding using excess packaging and recycling their waste. Boomtown Fair in Winchester are managing their food waste sustainably by using Eco's anaerobic digestion plant to convert their food waste into biogas, which is then converted into renewable energy. Sustainability and waste management is becoming a higher priority for event managers of festivals. Event organisations such as Live Nation are doing their bit to try and combat climate change and reduce their carbon footprint. However, is this enough? Are we all doing enough, or has the damage already been done? This segment of the video will be a reflection on the Women's Safety in Events workshop I did on drink spiking. Reflection is the act of having an experience, thinking about why we have behaved in a certain way and considering if this was the most appropriate reaction or if in future we should alter the way that we did something. Reflection is important after completing a project, as consciously thinking about what went well and what we could improve will better allow for development in the future. An effective way to reflect is to apply Gibbs' reflective cycle. Gibbs's reflective cycle describes the 6 stages of reflection as being a description of the experience, thoughts and feelings surrounding the experience, evaluation of the experience, analysis to make sense of the situation, and conclude what you have learned about the experience to create an action plan of what you would do differently if you had the opportunity again in the future. Starting with what went well in the workshop, I think that the interactive activities that I included kept the students engaged and interested in the topic. I asked the students what their opinions were based on their experiences of drink spiking and the claims that it was an urban myth, to engage the students with the conversation and to get them thinking. Including the Kahoot quiz at the end of the workshop was a fun, light-hearted bit of competition that I think rounded off the workshop really well. In regards to the content of the workshop, the points that I made were supported by theories of power and control by Swan, meaning that the points I were making were reliable because they were being supported by academics. I know this is something that I did well, as this was the feedback that I received from my lecturers that marked the workshop. The learning outcomes that I presented at the beginning of to understand the extent of the drink spiking problem for women, to be able to define drink spiking, to understand why women are being spiked at events, and to understand how the issue is being challenged, I believe were achieved by the end of the workshop. I believe that my definitions were very clear and understood, which I also received in my feedback from the lecturers. Although I am very pleased with how the workshop went, there are things that I know I could do to improve in the future if this opportunity was to arise again. If I were to do the workshop again, one thing I would definitely do is rehearse the delivery of the workshop, just to make sure that all the content runs smoothly and gels together so it's not choppy as such. I would also conduct some more research into finding other interactive activities I could do with the students that were learning. I used Kahoot, which is a very well-known platform, as a quiz, and I think although I do believe it was a success, I think that doing something a bit different that isn't so common would definitely have increased engagement from the students. Presenting to a room full of people and trying to engage them can be quite daunting. I do think that I did a good job of it, but of course there were nerves there, which I do think had an effect on my performance. I think in the future, the more I can practice these kind of workshops, it will mean that I will gain more confidence, and I then think that the workshop will flow more smoothly and be more relaxed. Overall, I think the workshop was educational, interactive and interesting. I enjoyed doing the research to learn, and then I enjoyed to then share that knowledge with my fellow students. It's definitely something that I would like to do again down the line in my career. Obviously not on the same topic, but something that I'm really interested and passionate in. I would really like the opportunity again. Thank you so much everyone for watching. Please leave any of your opinions on any of these topics in the comments below. I'd love to see them. Thank you very much. Bye. See you again next week.